Will the NCAA allow CHL players to get their eligibility back and compete at the NCAA level once their careers are over in junior hockey? Welcome back everybody to another 𝗂𝗂𝗶𝗴 video. My name is 𝗵𝗂𝗏 and today's video is going to be a hot topic. Before we get into the video, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. We talk about all the hot hockey topics and give you as much information as we can so that you can prepare for the next steps for your kids or for yourselves. Leave a comment down below if there's any topics that we haven't spoken about that you want some more information on. So where did this rumor start and what is the actual rumor? Sportnet's 𝗷𝗂𝗶𝗴𝗵 came out with a statement in the recent months saying that NCAA coaches could vote on changing a rule prohibiting Canadian hockey players from later playing in the US college ranks and after this season concludes. What that basically means, he thinks, or he's heard from a source, that NCAA coaches are now talking about changing the eligibility rule, making CHL players eligible to play in college hockey. Because currently at the moment, they are not. They are not eligible to play college hockey in the United States the minute they step on the ice at a major junior tryout for more than 48 hours, or if they play a season game or anything involves the CHL. Do we know if this is more than a rumor? No. Unfortunately, there's many people talking about this. Many people, but we'll never know the true story until it is either accepted or denied. So what's the current rule about this? What is the current situation about all of that? And here's the truth behind it, okay? Currently, if you go to a major junior tryouts, OHL, WHL, QMJHL, for more than 48 hours, you are technically deemed ineligible to play NCAA Division I hockey. The reason being is the NCAA has in fact stated an amateur rule, which states that you must be an amateur to play in college hockey and not a professional. Now, CHL players are considered professional for a multiple of reasons, but the main one is because they compete versus professional athletes, which means that they compete with other players that are signed NHL contracts that are getting paid to play hockey. So because of that, because you could skate with them at tryouts and you skate with them all season long, they are now considered professional athletes. Whereas in the NCAA, even if you're drafted, none of these players have signed, none of these players have played past rookie camp, where all rookies are not professional athletes. So that is the technical ruling on why they cannot play. This has been in place since the beginning of the CHL and the NCAA. That's never changed before. Players who decided the CHL was their way at 15 years old, they lost their eligibility moving forward for NCAA. There have been a few exceptions to this rule. There is a player, 𝗵𝗵𝗿𝗄𝗏, who played for Bowling Green after going to an OHL camp. He had to go to court and get his eligibility back. I myself went to Shawinigan Cataracts camp, had to go to court and get my eligibility back. There's another player currently playing NCAA who played a full season for the 𝗷𝗂𝗙𝗓𝗓, had to go to court and battle the situation and came back. So there is the odd rule break, the odd gray zone that has been permitted. 99.9% of players who have gone the CHL route have not even attempted to go the NCAA route because of this amateur's rule. If this rule change does pass, it will be tremendous for all the tiers of junior hockey. Not tremendous good, but a huge change for all the players currently in there and all those coming. Let's break it down division by division. Let's look at the tier 1. Tier 1 is the USHL. That is the only tier 1 league. This will be huge for them because 99.9% of those players end up playing Division 1. So they're kind of shoo-ins to play Division 1. Now, they're also going to be competing with all the other tier 1 players in Canada, WHL, OHL, and QMJHL. So as much as they should still technically be shoo-ins because they're the best of the best in the United States, they now have the best of the best in Canada coming to play versus them. There might be a few more USHL players who fall to the Division 3 level, as now spots haven't changed. There's still going to be the same amount of Division 1 teams, the same amount of openings every season coming up, but now the pool of players just increased. That top level tier 1 pool of players, which was only 1 league, will now expand to 4 leagues, making it much more difficult for that tier 1 to have the main access or exposure that he had previously. What I mean by that is, before, everybody wanted the USHL players. There's a reason they're in the USHL. They are among the best. Now, they can go get USHL, OHL, WHL, QMJHL, making that USHL still as valuable, but competing with these 3 other leagues. At the tier 2 level, the tier 2 level just got that much more competitive. In previous years, the tier 2 was a second feeder to the NCAA Division 1. A very big feeder. BCHL, AJHL, NUL, NCDC, MJ, SJ, they were all good feeders to NCAA. Each of these leagues sent as many of their top players to the Division 1 every single year. However, with the CHL coming into play, those players are a little less valuable. Those players are a little less exciting to Division 1 coaches because, again, they can go get more tier 1 players now that are in Canada. So those players that weren't good enough at 15, 16 and fell to junior A and were average players but did pretty well and still got some division 1 looks will no longer get the looks. Those top level tier 2 players will still get looked at division 1. We're talking the BCHL, the AJ, the NAL, the NCDC, and the other league's top players will get looked at. But instead of having 15, 20, 30 guys that get looked at, you might have 5, 10, maybe 15 guys per league. Who knows? These are just numbers we're throwing at you because this changes everything, right? There's lots of factors that go into it. For the average tier 2 guy, the good tier 2 guy, the above average tier 2 guy, most likely than not, his division 1 exposure will drop. His division 3 exposure will increase. However, the dream of division 1 becomes much harder for the middle level tier 2 guys. For the bottom level tier 2 guys, division 3 just got harder for you because if that average group is now going division 3, they took away from your spots. So you have to work that much harder to earn a spot. At the tier 3 level, ACHA has never looked better. Now, I'm not saying the top players in USP Premier or in the NA3 or in the EHL won't go division 3. They will. But again, now they're going to be competing with even more tier 2 players. Before it was a good mixture of tier 3 and tier 2 at the division 3 level. Now it's going to be a little more tier 2 and a little less tier 3. So you will need to work that much harder. Now, obviously, all of these have strict guidelines, right? What are the rules going to be? Are they going to allow all CHL players, or are there going to be set guidelines if you played less than a certain amount of games, if you never got payment, if you never got drafted, and so on and so forth? You don't know. The other thing to consider is, will these CHL players have the grades to play in NCAA? Oftentimes, the academics do not follow the hockey in major juniors in Canada. They are not as strong academically. If 90% of these guys are barely C average students or even a D average, well then those tier 2 guys will have more opportunities because they'll have the academics to follow the hockey. Even if division 1 players are incredible hockey players, they need to be good students as well. The grades are part of the equation. They're part of playing division 1, so we cannot neglect that factor. So to recap the 3 tiers, tier 1 just got stronger, more competitive, and you just became less certain of going division 1 because you're competing with 3 other leagues. Tier 2, you just got pushed down a little bit. Those top level tier 2 guys have to work that much harder. Those mid-level tier 2 guys have to work even more and most likely will get pushed to division 3 rather than division 1. The bottom level tier 2s, you're probably going to be division 3, and tier 3s more than likely now got pushed to ACHA, which means that the division 3 hockey is going to get that much stronger and ACHA is going to get that much stronger and that much more competitive. All of these divisions will become that much more competitive. It wasn't enough to be the best of your area, of your junior A. Now you need to be the best of the best. You need to be the best of the best if you want to move forward and play university hockey. To play ACHA, there'll most likely be less guys coming straight out of high school and more guys coming out of juniors because of how competitive and how strong the caliber of players they can get will be. With that being said, how do you prepare for this change? We don't know if it's coming or not. It's still up in the air. It's still very uncertain. As a player, work that much harder. It wasn't enough before. It's not enough anymore. You want to be the best of the best, you need to work that much harder. If you're a point guy, put up points. Put up numbers. If you're not a point guy, realize that you're not a point guy and get stronger. Don't lose any more face-offs. Don't get beat on one-on-ones. Win your face-offs. You need to work that much harder, both in the classroom and on the ice. If at 15 you're not ready, that's fine. A lot of people aren't. They need the juniors to gain experience and develop. You might not have been ready for tier 1. That's fine. Go play tier 2 and be a dominant tier 2. Be the guy that every coach wants. That your coach is always getting called saying, I want to trade for him. I want to trade for him. I want to trade for him. You'll have eyes on you for doing that. And again, you don't need to be the point guy to do that. You could be a role guy and do that very well. As a parent, if financially you can, get him as much exposure as possible. Do the showcases. Do the camps. Even if you know there's no spot for him at 16, make him go to camp. Make him turn heads and make the coach add him to a list saying, I need to watch this guy next season. If you have the money, invest in personal trainers, skills coaches, advisors, all of it. Because the more resources you have for your son, the more opportunity he has. Now, on my end, I don't think this will pass. I don't think it should pass. The reason being is they've done a great job in the past years of separating the two, CHL and the NCAA. And it's given a lot of players more opportunity to play hockey. All those guys that went to junior A and didn't go major juniors, whether they got cut, they didn't get drafted, they developed later, whatever the reason may be, got an opportunity to develop, become better people on the ice, better people off the ice, better students, and chase their dream and play hockey long term. The CHL guys have U Sports as an option. The reason most of them don't go to U Sports, academically, they can't handle it. That's why they went to the CHL in the first place. Academically, they're not there. You go look at U Sport rosters, they change year after year after year because guys come in for a year, they play, flunk out, and leave. Now, that's not all players. I'm not putting all players under that boat, but they have the U Sport option. Keep it separate. Let the junior A guys continue to chase their dream of playing college hockey, and let the CHL guys chase their dream of going straight to the pros. Because at the end of the day, that's why you went to the CHL. Not because, oh, you know, I want to go get my academics, but because you think you're going to be ready for the pros. You think you're going to get drafted and you're going to go straight to the NHL. And that's fine. That's your goal. And if you think you can do it, do it. But if you're going down that path, don't go the other way. You chose to go this way. You put all your eggs in the basket. Good for you. Make it work. Figure out a way to make it work. Start in the minors, work your way up. Go to U Sports. You can still get an education, play university hockey, and go play pro afterwards. Now, obviously, U Sports isn't as desirable as NCAA. It's not as big as a show. It's not as extravagant, but it's still getting an education. It's still great hockey, and it's still playing professional hockey afterwards. So if you went that way, stay there. Stay in your lane. If you go to junior A route and you decide that college hockey is your goal and that's where you're putting all your eggs, then go that way. So personally, I don't think they should pass this rule. I think they should let it be as is, and better education should be involved. I come from Quebec. We don't have a lot of education on the NCAA. It's changing. It's taking a while, but it's changing. That's why everybody goes to the Q. Out west, there's a good amount of players playing in the BC and the AJ because they want to play college hockey. A lot of those guys probably could play major juniors, but chose not to. So they made the choice. They had the education and they made the choice, and that's perfectly fine. So what should be done is the education should change. They should not be changing these rules to grant CHL players permission to play if they lost their eligibility. But we don't have that decision. We don't make the decisions for them. We have no say in this. We just have to respect the changes and provide you guys with all the information so that you can best prepare for the next steps. Hopefully this video helped you and didn't scare you. Yes, there's a lot that's still uncertain. We're just trying to keep you guys up to date so that you know what's coming if it does come, so you understand the pros and cons of both. That being said, if there is an update, we will give you an update. We will gladly provide that information so that mom and dad, son, whoever's watching, you can get ready for this. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you've gotten a good amount of information from this video. We appreciate that you guys spend your time watching. Don't forget to leave a comment down below if there's anything we missed, anything that you want us to talk about that we haven't so far. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day.